everybody. Welcome to Truth Be Told, hosted by Selena Nigel, Cordoba L. Empress of 10,000 years, looking beautiful as always. Show me out.
I don't really stand up and do all that.
That's
but
right.
It's a dress. It's probably like $40 at the end of the day.
She hard at taking compliments.
They can't hear you when you mumble like
She
that.
hard at taking compliments. That's why I make her do it.
That's really sweet, but I'm not that caught up, so I don't really go in like that. Anyway, thank you for the beautiful compliments. But what I'm saying is, hey, more. What I'm saying is that fashion is fashion. I really just wear what I feel to. I realize colors look better on camera than not, so whatever. I'm gonna rock colors. Also, yeah, people pay way too much attention to what people wear, and yes, visuals are great, but as long as I'm comfortable and I wear clothes that fit me is usually my motto. So I wanted to wrap up and basically tie the bow from what we built on yesterday. Yesterday was a huge day. Even today, we brought our painting down to show everybody, but it's getting windier. Our sitter isn't here to watch him more, so I wanted to be right near the pool so that I can keep an eye on him. And it looks like it's gonna rain in maybe a half hour. But I wanted to use the energy. Look at the beat coming up west.
That's right.
I hope I don't get stuck. But I wanted to utilize the hour to just thank everybody for tuning in and for listening. A lot of what I've been doing, or a lot of what we've chosen to do, is actually revealing. And I finished a huge taping last night and didn't know if I should actually release it, reveal it. Because it's about my life, and people think they know you, and all these things to really deter from the point, which is when you make a decision to do anything for yourself or to be with someone that you care about, sometimes obstacles come in play to really deter you and to make you feel like what you're doing is not what you're supposed to be doing.
That's right.
So for some reason, especially, I didn't even tell you all the details of the distractions yesterday, because sometimes I just want to get into it and I tend to be a little verbose, but that's the purpose as to why I'm talking.
That's so loud.
You can come out and say hi if you want to scream a lot. You can come out and say hi if you want to talk on the camera. I think you know we're doing something.
But you can't be so loud.
He knows we're taping something, so part of the attention is to just scream a lot so that we can give our attention to him, which is why it's great to have people that are just around. You're gonna come in the front. Well, no, that's behind it. You gotta come right here and say what's up.
Hi.
There you go, Amor.
Peace.
That's Amor. He's swimming before the torrential storm comes down. Basically, so many little things happened. My bike chain fell off when we were on our way to go to the post office. We get to the post office, the woman that we need to see isn't there. We go to the notary that's always open 24/7, but we go and there's a huge police tape and the precinct shut it down. What else?
It was people in the post office.
So many people in the post office when it's usually 3 or 4. Our passport application got completed yesterday. So many little things took place to really cause confusion, and that's just the way life is. That's basically what I was talking about yesterday. The same thing. I think I ended it talking about the things that were happening to us based on us choosing to be together and based on other people in the formation of my sister having her own side of the story and her feelings dictating 10 years of missing time and what she did to family members of mine to gain loyalty and to also ask for forgiveness in a way by throwing me under the bus. So throwing me under the bus transferred whatever anger they might have had towards her or whatever energy they felt needed to be expressed. It was easier to be disgruntled with me and with Asir. So, she spoke up a lot, talked about what I said yesterday and saying that she felt that I chose somebody else over her, and what that did is it led her to make alliances with people who not only didn't have her best interest in mind, but also weren't really in support of me or in support of us moving forward without needing that cushion, without needing that abusive cushion to be present. So when that happened, it angered my first cousin, and we ran into him in the village. He decided to smack Asir up. Asir laughed at him. It was all a joke. But imagine if you inspire somebody with the wrong energy to do something,
Exactly.
and that person doesn't do the necessary due diligence and or research to find out what, who, when. That could turn into straight blah blah bullshit. You know what I mean? Like straight angry energy. And that's the thing that I felt like I had to escape out of New York. Escaping the mystery, what happened with the first baby, and all of these things when people could just talk to me rather than create rumors or tell things that aren't true to cast a certain light. And when that happens more than once, it's up to the person to either remove themselves from that place or to stay. Like when somebody, like let's say I'm sitting here and this seat looks really comfortable and great, and I invite a couple people over and everybody wants to sit in this seat. But it's my chair, it's a chair that I always sit in. What ends up taking place is I say to myself, you want the chair? Have it. I don't really fight for things like that because it's not that deep or important. And that's kind of what happened to our energy, or to us in New York. He did a lot of lectures in New York at a time where a lot of young people weren't talking about, metaphysics and law and jurisprudence. And let's just say it inspired a lot of people to do what they saw him doing. And what ended up happening is, like, let's say we scheduled something at a certain spot. That certain spot ended up being scheduled for other events by 4 or 5 different people on the same day, to not only just to distract, but to deter and to cause problems. And when people want to be seen that badly, here goes the platform. Stand on it, scream on it, do whatever it is you feel I was doing on that platform that you want to now. He's cannonballing it, that you now want to do. What's great about Miami is that it's all gray in the background where we usually tape. But right here, there's a ray of sun, and it's gorgeous. But Miami is like rain for a couple minutes, and then it streamlines and comes back to sun. So one thing I did want to touch base on that wasn't really because I was in such a stream flow of communication yesterday, I wanted to tie up the whole masonry thing. Sometimes people, especially with when Asir talks or when Asir has an opinion about something, what I find to be interesting is people might have opinions about what he says about masonry isn't real and isn't true, but they never add on or never qualify what isn't true or what they need to add on to make the unsubstantial substantial. And that's very interesting. It's like, okay, if you have a problem with what I'm saying, talk about what it is that I could have done better. Contribute or add on to certain knowledge that might be missing. What I find interesting is that they never do. People just are like, oh, people love talking about masonry and about, but if we don't talk about these things, how are we to know how they're going to affect our families and what really takes place? Because if you're sworn to this oath of secrecy, then of course you can't be the same one to shed light about what it is you said you weren't going to talk about. So, continuously, I wanted you to just not even talk about masonry necessarily, because we do have, or he does have a tape about that out.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But it's like what the Queen said. Masonry, thank you, baby. Masonry is not evil, and it's not a totally Luciferian thing. It's just that Western Freemasonry, from specifically 1782 to 1956, and then from 1956, from the reestablishment of the Southern jurisdiction to about 1975, is when all of the satanic, all of the extra stuff was added to it. So you have people that are melanated but don't understand the true origins of what that stuff is. And really, it has nothing to do with what anybody think it do. Really what it's about is about maintaining the status quo. That's really in the end what it's really about. And everybody want to add on and put on their little flip it and bounce it. Oh, it's for fraternal, oh, it's for brotherhood, all this and that. In the end, man, people been flashing signs for 228 years, and our people ain't got no further. Our people ain't no better off Our people ain't no more paid. Our people ain't no more together. And this masonry thing is all in the hood. So what it shows me is that it was more about a little boys club keeping all the status quo and keeping everything as quiet or as male-centric as possible. And what it has done is that it has inhibited our own people's natural inclination for their own individual chivalrous culture. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want to deal with like real Mormon science, or let's say the fact that Mason means son of a Moor or maid son. You know what I mean? So instead of you understanding your original designation as a so-called Northwest, Southwest African, meaning that you was born over here, and that the fact that the G7 Lodge and all of these different grand bodies were all consecrated right here and came out of something that existed in this country before Prince Hall Masonry, called the Kitwa Society, which has to deal with us as Aboriginal, autochthonous, indigenous people who did not have to do all of that crazy stuff that they was doing over there in Europa. But again, in getting into all of that is neither here nor there, because most people don't care about that. Most people get into this stuff nowadays, this fake occult stuff nowadays, or even this pseudo Freemasonry stuff nowadays, because they feel that it's going to get them money, power, respect, or whatever. But they don't tell you what you got to do, and you got to ride that goat. That's what they talk about. They don't tell you a lot of the nuances about the fact that you now keeping secrets for other men, that out of the context of being in that lodge, you might not even want to be friends with. You might not even want to share a so-called brotherhood with, because these dudes is whack. So this ain't to say that everybody that deal with Freemasonry and all that is whack, or everybody that deals in that is satanic, but it is to say that the intent and purpose of what you carry yourself into in any occult group, fraternal organization, pseudo fraternal organization, busts down to the fact that you got to know what you are involving yourself into. If you don't know who consecrated the egregore, which is the entity that is over the lodge that you're a part of, then you are possessed by it, whether you realize it or not, because that's how the function of the craft goes. They call it a craft, but the word craft really means to trick.
Bang.
The word fellow, right, means somebody who has fallen low. You understand? Somebody who is not on their highest level. Just like Negro means somebody growing up to the knee. So when you got Negro Freemasonry, right, or Western Freemasonry, you're dealing with somebody. The trick is, in order to be a Freemason, you, in a sense, got to be under somebody who was at one time a Moor. Whether you realize it or not, that's what they call the order or the degree of the Corsair. But again, I'm going beyond certain people's heads now.
That's okay. Sometimes we need to be challenged with new lingo, with new everything, because this is why we research stuff. Indeed. It's like last night we watched a new movie with Anthony Mackie. Repentance. Anthony Mackie and Forrest Whitaker. It was a brilliant film, and I'm not too much a Forrest Whitaker fan as of late, but he's a good actor. I'm not going to say he's not. It's just sometimes it's difficult to watch all the time when certain actors are only given roles that are lamenting or that are dealing with pain and drama and tragedy. And Forrest Whitaker is one of those actors that usually only attracts roles like that. But he's brilliant at it. Anyway, this movie was about, it was deep. Anthony Mackie came out with a book. He was a spiritualist, a guru, a very new age healer. And I laughed because in watching all the new age popularity to be a guru, to be a healer, Karen B, Jen Skelter or Sketler, what's that girl's name?
Settler.
Jen Settler. I was hysterical this past weekend watching her photo shoot through Vanity Fair, and I wanted to just
What was it
touch.
called?
It doesn't even matter. It was honing in on the Bronze Age, the bronze woman, the beauty of a brown-skinned woman. Bronze. But yet still they used a Jew.
Number of Caucasians.
Only Caucasians, and this Jew girl, who obviously, like, I don't know if I'm not hating, I'm not being, and this is the thing about when you talk about something with passion. When you're passionate about something, you must be a hater, or you're filled with
You're
rage
angry.
or angry. When really, I just don't want to sound basic or like I'm not filled with a desire or a passion behind my words. I care about what I'm saying a lot, but I'm also aware that there's emotion that can totally distract one from the message that's trying to be delivered. So I decided to not do this until certain emotions of mine were in check, so that I don't cry on camera, so that I don't use this as my personal therapy session, because it's way beyond that. You have to have a purpose in what it is you're trying to heal or help people with. So to jump boats real quick from the movie to Jen, what I wanted to say is that girl don't have a booty that's real. It is so surgically enhanced that I think after was tweaked, she decided to work out a little. But I can tell this because she doesn't have any calves or any quadriceps. Her connective tissue in her other parts of her body, like her back, you have to do certain deadlifts. You have to do certain exercises. And if you are into personal training and you do understand physiology and anatomy, you would know that there would be other obvious toning in her body. She doesn't have that. She actually looks kind of anorexic and really thin in her torso and arms, and then she got this real ploop with these little stick figure legs.
Right.
And what I'm telling you is that maybe it's easier to sell the booty agenda through the face of a white woman than it is through the face of a real brown skin woman.
bronze woman,
And
right?
I'm not surprised. There's so many other beautiful. Tiana Taylor, great body. Even if she has fake boobs, it's gonna come down. Even if she has fake boobs, I love Tiana Taylor. I love her authentic face. I love how hard people say it is. One thing I think is great is that she actually has features and a face. But one thing I would say, if she cut that yak hair out, she would look so,
Yeah.
powerful in her stance. What looks weird is her trying to have this like curly afro that I can tell isn't hers, but it kind of throws off her raw beauty.
Yes.
She's got a raw, authentic beauty.
Natural.
And I love it. But people clown her. She looked like this, she looked like that. She a dark-skinned, gorgeous black woman with full lips and a nice thick nose.
Right.
I think she's beautiful. And her body's banging.
Yep.
Fake boobs and all, she still looks great. But why not give it to her? Because that's not the agenda. The agenda is to make us sisters
Right.
feel like no matter how many squats
Right.
we do, this ain't gonna
Right.
come out like
That's
like
right.
that. We're not supposed to be shaped like dumplings where you have, no body and then this big Kentucky Fried Chicken ass
Yep.
that really is KFC filled with silicone or something else. Let's see how these people
Caulk.
look in like the next 20 years. This is the age of now.
Yep.
Be beautiful now. But let's see how this transcends, because I'm telling you, she is definitely a part of some agenda. And when I mean agenda, sometimes it's like, okay, this is 2014. Let's get as many women, black and white, to go to the doctor, add fillers, never feel confident about their natural beauty.
That's right.
Never feel like they're gonna look like they're enough, thick enough, hippie enough. Your hips aren't supposed to point out like divots or like darts. They're supposed to be smooth around the edges. And I can tell who got work done because other parts of their body are not supporting all of the fakeness. And all I mean, it's sad because it must make women, not like myself, but other women that are striving to feel beautiful and to look, like they're in shape, like they're never gonna achieve it because they don't have this point out booty. She got her nose done, so who's to say that the physician that did her nose didn't add a little to her bum to give her a little, because she went from 2010 to no booty to all this booty.
Word.
And it's not even that big. In certain angles you can tell she had fillers. I can see that there's fillers in her bum.
The holes.
I know it's there. I can tell based on other parts of her body. And I'm not hating, I'm just trying to create a voice of reason and express that women aren't gonna look like that just doing jump squats and doing lunges with no consistency and with no way of communicating really how they got there. It's the age of take a photo and we'll magically look like this.
Yep.
And that's just not real. And it's so whack that that's a thing that's celebrated not only through Vanity Fair, but through other publications that just, the Miracle Watts. Her name is a miracle because her body is not real.
Exactly.
It's a miracle. It's not
a miracle,
real.
yeah.
But, it's the sucked out stomach, the pointed out hips, the big booty, the small stick arms with no tone in them. And what is this energy? What is it going to do in the next couple of years? It's really annoying because women that do work hard feel like they're not going to get there. But don't be deterred. That is an agenda. This girl popped out of nowhere based on Rihanna liking her, and now every girl is comparing their figure to someone who probably only drinks whey shakes and only is eating, the paleo diet, a whole lot of flesh, no greens. That might work for some blood types, but for melanated beings, we need stuff that comes from the earth because we have carbon and melanin, which is, I'm thinking.
No, you're not.
But I know it's gonna rain too. But what I'm saying is don't believe the hype. Don't always look at things and go, damn, you can come and sit. Don't believe the hype. Don't always look at things and go, wow, if I just did it like that, I'll get those results. These women are surgically enhanced.
That's right.
I could tell they are. There was no Jen Skelters or whatever her name is prior to 2010 because this is the age of booty. And thanks Nicki Minaj or Nika for not only holding it well. I'm not going to say this woman doesn't look great in certain things, but thank you. She can only do, if you notice certain women that only do poses squatting or only do poses like where their legs are crossed and they're sitting really conjoined, it's because their bodies don't look normal just standing at a regular angle. And I know some of us recognize this, but it's to also say that the movie, I'm jumping again, that's Jen's whole story, and to say that don't be surprised. I would love for somebody in the Facebook world that is a brown-skinned woman to be chosen for something like that. There's so many models, gorgeous 6 feet women that can do better. But
that's natural. That's born
that's
with
natural.
This archetype body. This is what I also call Sarah Bartman's revenge. For those people who don't know who Sarah Bartman was, she was the so-called Venus Hottentot that was kidnapped from out of so-called Africa, the continent of eastern portion of Africa over there. And they brought her to Europa and did all types of rituals on her, sexual and otherwise. And then when she wound up dying, they wind up dissecting her entire body to see how her ass could grow that big. So it's interesting that you have all of these people now mutilating themselves, these women mutilating themselves, and these men making all of this money off of getting women to conform to these body types that really are an archetypical Asiatic, Moorish, so-called African body type now. Whereas you got them so crazy in the mind that they're actually giving up parts of their body to science to be able to be genetically enhanced to look like something that they were naturally born as if they just allow themselves to be natural. If they just allow themselves to be themselves.
That's a lot because people don't like what natural beauty looks like anymore. It's simple, it's basic, it's not cool. You've got to have an extra pop. And I told this here, until they make aloe vera breast implants that are naturally filled, I can't get them done. Of course, I don't always want to wear a support bra with a little, but I breastfed for 2 years. So my boobs aren't going to look like they did prior to breastfeeding, especially if you're not on a totally meat diet and cheese. I didn't fill myself with the artificial hormones. So yeah, I want to look sometimes filled, but I don't want to get there by putting the wrong things in my body.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible to mutilate yourself. And guess what? Your body is supposed to go through changes like that when you have a child,
but
when you
not,
actually give of yourself.
If we don't show photos of the post-breastfeeding, of how your boobs can naturally grow over time, it might take 5 years, it might take 8 for some women, but they do grow a little bit over time. And trust you me, I was like at an A, and I started off as a full C without, before or more. A cup, depressed as all hell, my boobs. But is that what I placed my beauty in? And I started to check, like, wow, Selena, I'm placing my beauty in things. My cat is here.
Yeah.
I'm placing beauty in things that really my husband isn't even caught up in.
No.
But you know, if you're a woman, if you don't feel confident about yourself as a woman, that can translate into other things in your life. So I really tried not to focus on as much. Get a nice support bra from Victoria's Secret and call it a day.
Word.
And that's where I've been with it. But until they, you know, I find it interesting. They can create so many things in the world,
Yep.
but they can't create a natural,
natural,
implant
right?
that doesn't have a biochip in it.
Exactly.
That I feel emotionally might give myself problems for years to come. So I'm getting back to this movie real quick because, again, this is the age of everybody's a Miss Cleo. Everybody's a 1-800, you know, call a 1-800 and, hey, I was. Everybody is on some call, you know, get a reading, work
Yep.
with someone who knows, and
Yep.
be easy with the cat. Yeah, you can get down. You want to get down? And, you know, it's to say that this movie was great because this guy rose to heights. Anthony Mackie's character, I won't give away too much, but
It's called Repentance.
it's called Repentance, and it's about this guy, Forrest Whitaker. He loses his mom. I won't tell you how he loses her, but when he loses her, he starts being haunted by her dreams, by her image, and he's being told in the dream realm, like, yo, you need to find out what really happened to me. So long story short, he goes to a book signing of Anthony Mackie's, who's a real, like, you know, guru of healing.
He's like a Michael Beckwith.
Yes,
Type of dude.
he's a Michael Beckwith of his community in the movie. During the movie, Forrest Whitaker checks him and is like, well, what makes you a real reader? Oh, I've got 2 degrees and this and that. The funny thing about the movie is, even Anthony Mackie, in watching it, you could tell he was hiding something. And the movie is about how people start anew. And I was talking about that yesterday, how it's easier, and I don't want to say that it's wrong that my sister hangs out with people that are only looking Caucasian. That might be her role in life, and that might be what she has to transcend in finding out what her light skin equates, because I do have people in my family that are Caucasian. We just didn't focus on that, and I think because my grandmother was a product of that type of relationship, she was just so adamant about being with a dark-skinned man and procreating with someone that was midnight black, based on all the trauma she went through, being a quote-unquote mulatto, or a Latina woman who's, you get it. So long story short, this movie was great because it shows you that sometimes people start life without closing door number 1 and number 2. They just want to pull you in through door number 3, create the environment, create the aura. This is who I am now. And what I'm interested in is, how did you get there?
That's right.
What was your journey? What did you do to go from this to that? How do you maintain a healthy relationship, Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, with other baby mamas in the picture? Money works, but sometimes I've watched the brokest of chicks all work with their baby daddy who got 6 different baby moms. It works. So why doesn't it work for him? Why can't he see his kids? Because not everybody is as simple as that. And again, I'm not defaming my sister's character. I wish her the best. If that's what she wants to do, reading Crowley cards, helping people on their journey,
That's the problem.
I wish her the best. But what I also do know is that there's vibrational frequencies. And sometimes it's easier to deal with something that's at a lower vibration than it is to deal with something at a higher. When you're dealing with something at a higher, it can read all of the cricks and nooks and crannies, English muffins, as I'm thinking about an English muffin, this is my mind right now. The nooks and crannies to hide where, you want to smear that good butter all over. Sometimes people don't want you to know where your nooks and crannies are. And it's only about tasting good and looking good. But if they can't answer questions about the journey, don't believe the hype.
Right.
If you are attracting a midwife in your life and she's teaching you about natural childbirth and about breastfeeding, then ask her, where is her children that she breastfed? And ask her, what did it feel like to have a natural childbirth? If she can't answer you, it's because it's a ruse. I find it interesting that most women that teach about health and, all of these new age things don't have any real source of information that they can come from, that they can connect to say, this is how I know. The reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because all of this stuff did not happen to me for me to sit with this energy and information on my own. I would feel somewhat selfish if I didn't share how I feel I can, what happened to me, because it didn't happen to me. It's just the things that happen in life based on the time I was born, who I came here to be, all of that. God had a plan for me before, and what I'm realizing in my 37 years is there was a lot of things that took place to deter me and to take me probably out of this path. Take me out this path before we even got here.
Yeah.
But I'm here. I always tell us here, if I wasn't supposed to study more science with this much verve,
Should have never hooked us up.
I would have never met him the way I did.
Should have
Because
never done it.
I knew things, but I didn't have the filler. I didn't have the good Colby cheese in between the two pieces of white bread. I just had like the Swiss cheese with holes in it. I didn't have the real good organic bite.
And I didn't have the actual physical archetype of the actual people of which I knew that I was of descent and ascent from. Like being with her and understanding who she was came at a time where I was going through my own personal metamorphosis in terms of what I chose not to do. And at the time that we met, I was at a stage in my life where I wanted all of my words and my words to reflect in my action.
Amor, try not to make too much noises because they can pick up on that.
Okay?
All right, you got it.
I wanted my words to reflect my actions. So if I said that I was going to do this, then I wanted my actions to reflect that. So when I said that I wasn't going to eat meat anymore because I didn't want my eldest son to eat meat, then
You made that decision to stop.
I made that decision to do that. But then everything came to test that, especially the other person who I had him with, because now that's all she wanted to feed him now, as almost as a means to test my resolve and to get me to kind of wild out on the fact that I had an idea of what I wanted my child to be. But in having my first two children, what it taught me was that you cannot have a plan with the child. You cannot have a plan with the child how you want to do. You gotta let the child and the life pattern of the child unfold. So you can have the parameters set up. But what I'm understanding again is that the best laid plans of mice and men often fail before they begin. And that is to say that you can have a plan of what you want to do. However, if that plan is not consistent with what the overall universal plan is for you, based upon what the creatress laid out for you to do, then you fooling yourself. And then you wind up beating up yourself and feeling guilty about yourself because you wanted to do certain things that, regardless of who or what, this reality is testing your resolve so much that you can't. So you have to recalibrate what it is you may have thought to do and just open your hands up to say, I need help, right? I need somebody to help me validate and understand why these things aren't happening. Like they say, when the master is ready, when the student is ready, the master
shall appear. But that's something that I intuited when I did meet him. He didn't know how to ask for help.
No.
Some men are raised to not know how to communicate what they really need.
No.
But based on how I was raised, I could intuit that he needed support and he needed help. And I also didn't have any problem based on, okay, this is why I told the story of what I needed to tell yesterday, because that, in meeting Nasir, the two baby mamas, that wasn't dramatic to me. Based on what I came out of, none of his issues were like that. It really wasn't. No one was dead. There was no pet. It wasn't that grave. But yes, it was for those women. I went to jail, got my face ripped up, had girls attacking me. Like, what did I do?
Exactly.
I didn't give her energy. And sometimes when you don't give somebody energy, they wild out on you.
Yes.
I could have taken that out on Nasir, just as Nasir could have taken out on me the fact that my cousin decided to jump him based on somebody gassing him to believe something about us.
Right.
So it's all to say that you've got to be careful about the decisions you make, about who you choose to surround yourself with, and you know, it's great to talk and to build with healers and to build with whomever you feel connected and attracted to. But don't be afraid to ask them real questions and to find out how they got on the path of healing and to find out what they really know about what they're expressing.
Physician, heal thyself.
Right. So many people talk about stuff like that, but only had C-sections. Will tell someone how important it is to give give birth naturally. But I can honestly say I can speak to a woman about how it feels to have no drugs. I can talk to someone about not punishing themselves for not doing the midwife thing correctly, because sometimes the midwife you attract is going through other personal things and can't emotionally be present for you.
Straight up.
I also had a cerclage with this one because I lost my first one at 7 months, and that was a whole nother story. But not being afraid and not punishing myself for doing something out of the ordinary in order to best suit my body's needs and to not, have another spontaneous miscarriage. But, life has been great. I want to thank the universe and the ancestors, especially today. We're in a lunar eclipse today. And it was funny that we taped and I felt to express all this. Sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say, and it's literally the energy of the day. But I wanted to do another one today. We usually don't do 2 tapings back to back. But I was like, after last night, I've got to seal the breach and give thanks for having the time to put all of these pieces of the puzzle together for myself. And I fought it. Many years I fought the solitude, I fought the silence, I fought the lack of a lot of friends. I had a lot of friends in high school and college. And then for some reason when I connected with him, they all decided to not be my friend anymore.
Ditto.
But I'm not going to say that it's anything that we did. It's just what our union might represent. And that was hard for me to digest because there was years that I thought because of him, these things are happening to me. And yeah, it was partially because of what he represents to other people. But can't I look at that as an energetic colonic? Like him coming into my life got rid of a lot of people that I thought were real, but might have just been there to entertain me when I had a perm. Or when, I was so jovial that they didn't. A lot of my friends tell me, oh, I can't wait till we go out. I love seeing Selena drunk. I can get drunk off of 2 glasses of wine. I'm like, oh. But the point is that why not enjoy me sober? Why do I have to be drunk to be the life of the party?
Because they want you outside of yourself. They want you to be open up to post-hypnotic suggestion, whatever that is. Because in an inebriated state, we're open not only to just other human influence, we're open up to spiritual influences too. But we're at an age now in 2014 where you have so-called melanated people who don't even believe in a God. They don't even believe in nothing spiritual. They want you to go against this beast.
Ooh, he's wet.
With no spirit, no God, no nothing. They just want you to deal with them straight up on a conventional level, not even realizing that this beast's form of spirituality is one of satanic magic. And our community is infested with that stuff now. And one of the main reasons why is because of these pseudo-fake fraternal organizations that have been here, been sucking the lifeblood out of our community, been convincing people that they need to do this, do that, and all of that.
And it's horrible. It's horrible. The rain is coming down. I wanted to give thanks to all the ancestors, especially, who was the recent one that passed? Sister Hafiza. God bless her soul. God rest her spirit. Ashe. Ashe to Celia. Ashe to Ma'at. Ashe to Hudi. Ashe. Anubis. Ashe Neftis. Ashe, all of them. And I give thanks to even Bobby Hemmett for teaching me about all the pantheon of ancestors and gods that exist. Not a lot of people know about that. Peace, y'all.